There we go, baby. We are live. Charlie Marlow, my good buddy, Cam Janssen. I wore the Blue Note shirt for you, buddy. We're going to wait, Cam, for everybody to jump on. First of all, I actually messed up already, shockingly, because somebody wanted you to open up the show. So do you want to open up the show? Go ahead.
Wakey, wakey, 706 in Kirkwood, Missouri. Let's go. Hot Take Central coming at you. Cam Janssen, Jimmy the Cat Hayes, Charles Leonard Marlowe, Sir Nathaniel the Great, Cole Hirabartimus, Maddie Whitener. Who missing?
Brendan Schaefer sometimes.
Brendan Schaefer, of course. Oh, man. Let's get going. And get him in, by the way, 855-282-8255.
Yes, and actually do get him in because we have the live chat here. So I'm already in here, and I just say, Charlie Marlow, hello. So everybody else jump in, get your questions. We'll do a Q&A. I got a bunch of questions for Cam as well. First of all, do you miss doing that intro? Do you miss the show? Do you miss me? I mean, we've talked on the phone and been texting, but I haven't seen your beautiful face in a month or so.
My face that's expanding in this region, right under my eyes. My God almighty. Dude, I do miss it. I truly do. I miss laughing every day consistently. I've never laughed so much in my life being on radio with all you guys. You know what I mean? The drops, you and Jimmy, me and you talking about obscure things. I do miss that. Like all this stuff that we're reading today, and I know there's some big time stories going on, a lot of negative, bad stories, but like just watching all this stuff, I'll jot things down, and I'm like, what am I doing that for? Because I used to miss just getting everything down and kind of, that helicopter crash or, a yacht that sunk in Italy because of a water spout with billionaires and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. I miss talking about that. I miss getting educated by the text line when we do mess up with some stuff. Like, no, Cam, that's not true. I'm like, oh, dude, maybe you're right. You fact check me on that. I miss everybody. I miss getting chirped, So yeah, but it is nice sleeping in. Don't get me wrong. Like that does wear you out.
For sure. Okay, so I should have asked you before, but did you do your first Camversation show yesterday? Okay, so I should have asked you that before, but tell people your idea. I think it's a great idea of what you're going to start doing.
Yeah, so I linked up with a company called Unknown Adventures. It's there in Fenton, big facility. It's like a membership club where you go in there. There's all kinds of different podcast rooms and a huge bar full, all kinds of endless booze and this, that, and the other. It's a huge place, and Reed Lowe's a part of it. Chris Pronger was there last night cutting some different things because he's all over social media right now doing his thing. So I teamed up with a bunch of guys over there, and I'm going to start this thing. Look, I wanted to get Hot Take Central back somehow. Right when the station shut down and everything was like kind of like blah for a week and a half. I'm like, man, I miss it. I want to get these guys back together. It's tough to do. Like it's tough to coordinate. Everybody's doing their own thing. Jimmy's on the road. Brendan Schaefer's down in Mizzou. You're crazy with Kenny Wallace and doing multiple different things on YouTube. So that was tough. So I'm like, I got to be selfish here and just create my own thing. Not an everyday thing, but every Thursday. I was just like, why can't I go to some, like we did earlier, Charlie, going to all these restaurants. So I was going to do a live YouTube show at any restaurant and bring on, either former alumni, you, Jimmy, you both together, whatever the case is, talk about everything we used to talk about on Hot Take Central. And then at the end, these restaurants bring me the best dish you have. I'll eat it on camera. Well, I love watching these like Food Network shows. I do it all the time, where they'll get like a sandwich and they're like, oh my God. Oh my God, is that good? Like basically having an orgasm because that's how good some of this food is. So I'm like, I can do that. How about I just set up something where I'll go to different restaurants, put on a show, however long you want me there, shoot the breeze with everybody, talk to the cook, talk to the owner, and of course they'll pump up the best dish they have. And maybe it's the hottest dish. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. I don't give a damn. I'm going to eat it in front of the camera and entertain everybody like we always do, Charlie.
You need to take lessons from Frank because nobody describes eating food like Frank Cusimano. It would sound, honestly, I'm not even joking. It would sound sexual. It would sound sensual. The way he would describe the feeling of a dessert or a pasta dish. Honestly, I remember texting him one time. I was driving and I'm like, Frank, I think you just got me aroused talking about pasta.
I know it's a very weird thing to say, but I agree. Listen, most people, not gonna lie to you, when you're eating in front of me, they're sloppy bastards, and I don't like it. And it actually turns me off, and it makes me not hungry at all. I've played with so many dirt balls in my life, good guys, but they're disgusting. They'll fart next to you when you're eating. You're like, what are you doing? Or, they're loud with their food. But when Frank does it, and when you watch some of these guys on YouTube that try all these different restaurants in like New York and stuff like that, they make me hungry. I'm like, I will drive out of my way to go to that place. If I'm around that area, you've convinced me just because you ate and the way you ate and the way you described it on camera, you're going to convince me to spend extra money to get my ass over there to try whatever dish that is. So I watch all this stuff. I remember Frankie doing it. And I'm like, I can do that. Let me try out different food at restaurants and have a good time and talk about whatever we talk about and, get paid in the process. Pretty fun.
I love it. Okay, let's get this story out of the way early because it is a tragedy, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. But obviously, we got to talk about Johnny Gaudreau, and Daddy Padre brings it up. It is Gaudreau, right? I want to make sure it's not Gaudreau. Okay, so Johnny
It's
Gaudreau.
both, I think,
Okay,
actually,
okay,
but
obviously. Okay, so Daddy Padre, R.I.P. to Johnny Hockey. I saw this story last night, pretty late. And then you also wonder there's these weird people that always do these death hoaxes for whatever reason. And you're just wondering and hoping this is another one of those death hoaxes. And I fell asleep and I woke up in just a terrible tragedy that it's true. He and his brother both pass away. They're cycling. They get hit by a drunk driver and they're there in the Philadelphia area. It happened in New Jersey, but they're there for their sister's wedding, which was supposed to be today. Just Cam, one of the most awful stories I've heard in a long time.
it rocked me. I got up. I got up late last night. My stomach was beat up. Kate and I went to Joe Bacardi's, went to my dad's, hung out with him. I did a couple things yesterday, and I just, we watched movies, and I was eating. So I woke up in the middle of the morning, like, because my stomach was just killing me. And I go, and I'm like, kind of chilling. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I go, what? I go, no way. Charlie, we've got before on radio where I'm like, oh, he's passed away, and I announce it. And all of a sudden everybody's like, what do you mean, Cam? What do you mean? Like, so I'm like, wait a second. And it was so late at night to where no one really verified it. I know PLZ posted something, which is kind of like, maybe you should wait until at least the team did. You never know how that goes because it's kind of tough to throw that out there, even though you might know a guy that knows somebody, whatever the case is. But I saw his tweet and I saw a couple other guys. Then I went back to bed and I'm like, God, please no. I had the weirdest night. It was in my head. I slept like crap. And I woke back up and I look, and I'm like, oh no, it's true. And all that combined, his brother to his sister's wedding, to his little kids. I mean, he's got two kids. Like, Jesus Christ, two little kids. And the whole cycling thing and the drunk driving aspect to it. And even if that guy had two beers, I don't know what his blood alcohol level. This is all new, but we do have the police report. I don't know what his blood alcohol level is. You drink, you drive. It's not good. But like the aggressive driving, I see this shit all the time out here, Charlie. I complain about it all the time. You got that Dodge Ram. I told you I'm a slow driver, going 150 miles an hour on some of these roads, passing everybody to get to the job site or whatever. And you're just like, man, leave a little bit early. I know sometimes you're late, and I know like there's so much to this whole thing, but it drove me nuts this morning. Kate tried to sit here like having her coffee, like I got tears in my eyes. Do I know him? Really? I know of him. I know about him. I know about his brother. I know about his family. And it effed me up bad, man. And it still has. And there's a lot of moving parts of the situation. But the end game is one of the best days of your life. Though his whole family is in town. Think about that. They're all probably staying in his house. And they're probably coming back from the rehearsal dinner or something. Or he and his brother are like, hey, it's 8:30 at night. The weather's cooled down. Let's go for a cruise. Let's spin our legs out a little bit. Let's drive around and chill for a little bit. And then, of course, you got this aggressive driver trying to weave in and out, according to the police report. And they're just on the side of the road, and they got rocked pretty good. And I don't know, man. And not to mention, and you know this too, Charlie. We've talked about the Columbus Blue Jackets and how what a weird 4 years that organization in many a ways, including coaches and stuff. But in 2021, in Manny Legacy's house, the firework accident with that poor goalie saving his best friend, the other goalie, and his wife in a hot tub with a rocket that fell. That whole situation. Ay, ay, ay. The hockey world is devastated right now. Devastated. And this is going to be a tough one for a long time.
I remember a couple years ago reading an article about why he went from Calgary to Columbus, and this was right in the middle of COVID. So this was a couple years ago, but I remember basically him saying that at the time it was so difficult to get in and out of Canada for his family. And I can't remember exactly if he had kids at the time. He was either about to have kids or just had kids, or his wife was pregnant. I apologize, whatever it was. But I remember him saying, like, part of the reason he wanted to go to the States, and even though it's Columbus, it is the Eastern time zone, was to see his family. And then when you see it's him and his brother, and it's the wedding day. I mean, do you even have the wedding? What do you do? And then you see the pictures of his little kids and his wife. God, it's just the worst.
I mean, I don't know. And you always look at these. Is it avoidable? Anytime there's a death, or you try to break it down. Like it's our human nature. Like, how did that happen? How can we avoid it? And so we could fix things in the future, right? And in this particular case, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know the road setup. I don't know if there was a bike lane. I just don't know. But it's a shame, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to be horrible for this family for a long time, and that organization and everybody involved. But I don't know what do you do? Like, what do you do next? Like, what everybody wants answers and stuff like that. Like, who's we know there was somebody at fault. But how can we avoid something like this in the future is probably the question on a lot of people's minds right now. But I don't know if there's an answer to it.
Yeah, our guy Daddy Padre brings up a good question, and I don't know if I have a good answer for this. He says, "Charlie, what is wild is this is maybe the biggest death we have ever seen in terms of caliber of a player in sports history in terms of an active player." And so I read that question from our guy Daddy Padre, and then I'm thinking as you're talking, and I can't think of anybody in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, obviously Kobe Bryant passes away after he's done. Can you think of anybody?
Well, okay. Well, yeah. The Nottingham. Well, with this caliber, no. But the Nottingham kid, skate to the neck, was a big story. He wasn't a professional athlete. I mean, he is a professional athlete, but not at a
Yes.
superstar level like Johnny. Okay, the Cardinals went through a couple of these with Daryl or
Daryl
Kyle
Kyle,
and the other kid too,
Josh Hancock.
Josh Hancock. Yeah, sorry, I
Yes.
was blanking on that.
No worries.
But you know what? Who else went through this back in the day was the St. Louis Blues back in the 70s. Similar kind of thing, if you think about it. And I see Bruce Affleck every single day. I see Bobby Gassoff Jr. all the time. Bobby Gassoff Jr.'s dad, Bob Gassoff, who's in the Rafters, number 3, so everybody knows. And you do know if you're a Blues fan, the similar kind of thing happened at the farm back in the 70s when they told the kid, a kid that kind of worked, they had a big blues party out there, and they told the kid, hey, man, we need some more beer. He jumps in a pickup truck, runs out of town. They're kind of middle of nowhere, so he probably had to drive 10 miles, whatever, speeding out of the way. And all of a sudden, Bob Gassoff gets on a motorcycle, a dirt bike, cruising around, and they both come around the corner, and he gets killed. And so, like, this has happened in St. We've seen this firsthand with Blues fans and Cardinals fans. But as far as the caliber of player and the popularity, and then his brother. I mean, it's one, it's brother too, and then you tie everything together. This is the most hardcore thing I've seen in sports in a long time.
Just awful. Putty Chains put up Thurman Munson. That was, I believe, late 70s, early 80s catcher for the
What happened?
Yankees. Daddy Padre, here's a couple, I don't want to say good, but good examples. Jose Fernandez was an absolute stud pitcher for the Marlins. And then Sean Taylor, the
Yeah,
defensive back. in the NFL. Okay, just an awful story. It's almost impossible to transition away from that, but let's do it. We're going to have fun on this live stream. Sticking with the hockey theme because I have my Blue Note shirt on. Okay, just simple question for you, Cam Janssen. Are the Blues going to be good this year?
Yes.
Why? And how good?
Well, there's a lot of competition. They're going to make. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I do. You got. I mean, you got a lot younger and you got a lot faster, and not to mention, there's a lot of competition. We just had Doug Armstrong on our podcast, Chemistry Podcast. He's coming out next Tuesday. He had him on for like an hour and 15 minutes. It was fantastic. This is just me. I mean, he can tell me whatever he wants about the Blues being good or not, but I looked at what he did, the aggressiveness with the offer sheets to Brobert and Holloway. You got Fosca. You got all these other guys that they signed. Then you got all these other guys like Dvorsky and some other young kids that were right there at the end of the year last year too that are going to try to compete for the top 6 spot. There's going to be a ton of competition from Perunovic to the young kids to the fourth line to guys like Oscar Sundquist to Tessier. So they have all these new young kids that are going to competing, some with the top 6, some with the bottom 6. There'll be a lot of competition. They got a lot younger. They got quicker. They solidified the left side on defense with Brobert. Hey, people talk highly of this kid. Have we seen a lot of him? No, but we did see him compete and do pretty damn good in the best competition in the world, and that's the Stanley Cup playoffs. And he looked pretty dang good. And so if he can complement Colton Parayko and a Justin Falk, and now you have a little bit more competition. Now, Doug Armstrong and that coaching staff have work to do. Man, they're going to have to cut some guys. They're going to have to send some guys down. Some of that's going to be easier said than done. And there would be some guys that you could just send down and get some playing time in the minors that they don't have to go through waivers and whatnot. So I do think the Blues are going to be a bit better. Are they a Stanley Cup challenging team? I don't know, but I think they're going to get into the playoffs and maybe scare some teams this year. And to me, that's trending in the right direction. There, I see a game plan with the Blues. Now we want to talk about other teams in this city. That's not the case. But with the Blues right now, and listen, they both had bad couple years, both those teams, the Cardinals and the Blues. But I look at the Blues, I'm like, I get what you're trying to do. I see where you're trying to go. Okay, I'm jumping on board, and I'm not going to guarantee anything because you just never know. But I will bet you they will be a lot more competitive, and they will squeak into the playoffs, if not make the playoffs.
Love it. All right, couple comments. Matt Emlo 12. I agree, Cam. Central got better, but we did too. Everyone wants to write us off despite 92 points last year and being better this year. Another one from, where's he at here? JTP says the young cats will come out buzzing. This team will come out playing for them, and this city will eat it up and get behind these fellas early. So you said Army comes out next week. You told me, I think, on the phone a couple days ago, it was really good. So without giving it all away, give us a little tease of some of the best stuff that Army said.
Well, we talked about the Petro situation. You know, he got into that a little bit. It's the first time I really heard him talk about it. You'll have to hear it, what he says. And there's only so much you could say with certain things, especially with a guy that's still current and playing. But Armstrong's classy. Listen, as everybody knows with him, he doesn't beat around the bush. You ask Army a question, it's calculated, and whatever he says, you're like, yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying to me. You're not kind of teasing. You're not trying to do this and squeak around a little bit or act like we don't know what we're talking about when we watch the Blues every second of every single game. Like the fans know what the hell they're talking about. Okay, they do. They watch every second of these games, and so I just like the way he answers questions, man. And he was on for a long, long time. We talked about the offer sheet. And listen, the Blues also kicked in a couple freebies for Edmonton too. That Fisher kid who no one knew about. Don't even ask me if I knew who it was. Don't act like you know who the hell that Fisher was, because none of y'all did. And then you throw like another pick in there. So that was all talked about at the beginning. Like, hey, we're going to help you out. And they waited. Edmonton went out and got a couple guys. They traded. They made some moves to help out their salary cap. Well, if I'm a GM, though, just like you said, like if you see a team That's vulnerable. That's really good. That's cap heavy. They got young kids to sign. You got to make a move on that. And you don't want to throw offer sheets out just to do it to screw another team over. You need to want the guys that are coming over. Okay. And to be able to give up a second round pick and a third round pick, that's fine. Did he want to give up a first round pick? No. He's got a lot of first round picks, man. A lot of them just soaking. They're like, what are we doing? Let's go. Not the weird soaking in Salt Lake City, soaking in the minors and in the juniors. You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So they could, you're not going to be able to use all those. So you're going to have to pick and choose what you want to do. Which these young kids you're going to keep. Which are you going to package away for something you might need later on in a couple months when maybe there's some injuries or somebody's not panning out? You got options. And again, I see the avenue where this hockey team wants to go. And for all the St. Louis fans out there, I think they can agree with me. They have a vision, and I bet you St. Louis Blues fans right now are really excited about this year. Could
Look
be
at
wrong.
this.
Let me know. What's up?
I love it. Look at this. Jeff Taylor gave us $2. Can we get a cameo from the simp? Is that Jim they're talking about? That's not nice. We're going to get Jim on. He's got to be out in
where's he at?
New York. Couple people. Now look at this. Cam's Taint. What a name. I could listen to this all day without Cole. Then somebody else says, Smitty, now that he's not here, can you guys finally admit that Cole sucks? No, Cole doesn't suck. Cole, by the way, I love Cole. Cole was great for business, great for the show. And then getting back to our earlier tragic story, I actually thought of Cole this morning. You've worked in media before where you kind of wake up in the morning to horrendous news. He's doing radio in Columbus. So imagine that day today as they're processing what happened to Johnny Hockey.
Yeah, no, you're right. I bet you that Columbus right now and that whole organization, oh my God. The players, I just, that's tough. Again, that's 2 in a 4-year span. Like, that's another weird thing. Like, the Johnny and his brother in itself is in a different stratosphere. And then you tie in what happened to that poor goalie at Manny Legacy. Oh God. So they're gonna this is gonna be tough. Man, you know what? I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them. They got kicked to the curb. They made stupid decisions with Mike Babcock and whatnot. They just kind of been blah, blah, blah for a long, long time. Yeah, they had some big picks and Rick Nash back in the day. Yeah, the cannon when you're playing there gets annoying. Fine. But I bet you a lot of hockey fans are going to be rooting for that organization. And I certainly am. I want to see them succeed just because of the hardship that they've been through. I've never seen anything like it. And it messes me up, man. Like, I get emotional with this kind of stuff, dude. Bad.
On a much brighter note, one of our favorites, the queen of Hot Take Central, Sharon says, "Hey guys, happy to see you." Say hi to Sharon, Cam.
Hey girl, what's up? What's going on? I think you're gonna be seeing a lot more of us. Just so you know, there might be some things in the future. You'll see. Hockey season's coming up, so there'll be a lot of different ways to be able to watch us. So you'll see.
Look at this. I think this is actually him. Cole Bartemus. Please no cameo from the simp. I'll log off. This has to be really him, correct?
Wait, let me say something about Cole.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen Jimmy put some cats down. No pun intended. But Jimmy will go after you. When you talk about Cardinal baseball with Jimmy, like, he's going to counter you and he's going to go toe-to-toe, and some guys can't handle it. But Cole Bartemus did handle it, and he did a damn good job. Now, are all his takes great? In fact, there's a lot of really, really bad takes, but I loved it. You brought me entertainment. That made it so much easier for me to be able to kick it and talk about different things. But Cole, you hung in there and you stood your ground and you meant what you were saying. You did your research and you weren't just throwing bull crap hot takes out, man. I appreciate you and we respect you, and I miss you, Cole. And I know you're doing a damn good job in Columbus, buddy.
Yeah, Sharon, stop chirping us olds. Cole, we got Jeff STL or Castle. Good morning, Charlie and Cam. And then Cole does say, I don't go in till later, working the 6 p.m. show later. Sup, fellas. Sup, Cole. Hey, back to the Cam and Strick pod real quick. You also had Matthew Tkachuk on this week. I didn't get to watch or listen to all of it, but I watched a couple of your clips. Give us a couple highlights.
Well, Matthew, people were saying that like he's been doing his rounds with different interviews and stuff like that, but I don't think he's ever sat down since he won for an hour and a half in a comfortable environment with Andy and I. And so we just let him talk. There's a couple times I interrupted him. I'm like, "Whoa, I thought you were finished." He went on and on and on and on and on, and he talked about his family all these little stories and him fighting Pasternak, which was a big deal at the time, and how Brady was and how he had to disguise himself to go to watch Matthew so no one really saw. Remember a couple years ago when Matthew was in the playoffs in Calgary? I think we were working together. And I kind of chirped Brady because he was in the stands and he was wow, he's drinking and doing this. And I'm like, like you're going to be the leader of Ottawa. They certainly need to get in the playoffs. I get where you're supporting your brother. So I think he learned from that a little bit. His brother gets all the success. Brady wants to support him. So now he's kind of hiding, doing his thing, but still showing as much emotion as possible to support your brother. However, like if I'm Brady, I'm also right now like, okay, it's my turn. All right, let's get going. I want the camera on me. I'm fighting guys. I'm busting my ass every single game. Remember he played the Blues? The first shift he goes out there, so he runs somebody, shoots, makes a play on that. And then all of a sudden he goes buckets off with Tyler Tucker, who's probably going to play 7 minutes that game. Brady's on the first line, first power play, first everything. And he goes buckets off with Tyler Tucker, who's a big kid. And just like little things like that, man. He's just fearless. And I told Matthew, your brother is my favorite player in the league. I love you, Matthew. Brady Tkachuk is my number one. And Matthew is a genuine guy. He's got his accolades. He's going to get more. He's probably going to be a freaking Hall of Famer. But he really does root for his brother, and it's not fake. That family's not fake. And if you guys want to listen to that, man, you'll hear a bunch of news stories from Matty Tkachuk, and he's pretty cool. He's about as cool as you can get. Oh yeah, talk about Jason Tatum and all that stuff too. That was pretty cool. And they both threw the first pitch out okay.
Yeah.
Did you see, Charlie, who was out there in front of nobody, by the way, which I hate seeing with the Cardinals? Who's a football player that just
Chris
threw the
Long?
first pitch out? Did you see it?
I saw him out there. Was it a bad throw?
Oh, yeah.
Was it?
I mean, what is wrong with him?
I got to check that out.
He's like this.
I love Chris Long.
I do too. He's cool as hell, man. He didn't know how to throw. Dude, he threw it way out of,
dude, his
brother
brother,
didn't look athletic.
His brother Kyle, who obviously played in the NFL, Bears lineman. Remember, he had the fight against the Rams. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Kyle was a really good baseball pitcher. I think he maybe went to Florida State or got recruited, and then he went back to football. I'm pretty sure. So I got to look this up. That's interesting. If he didn't throw a good pitch out there, I saw a bunch of interviews, but I didn't see the actual pitch. Okay, here it is. Oh, see. I got somebody. Okay, here's what they did. Look, here's what they did. So they basically was it that bad that they?
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Oh no. Okay.
I mean, you think Chris Long? You look at him like, I look at Chris Long. I'm like, this guy. He's a specimen. He could do anything. He could jump over things. He could pick you up. He's stronger than everybody. You're able to throw a pitch, right?
Now. Oh. Well, okay, let's look at it again.
Show me real quick again.
Here we go. I'm trying to turn the let me do it one more time. Hold on.
I want to see his follow through. Is it like Barack Obama?
Okay, so I mean, real high. So the delivery wasn't terrible. I mean, it was just super high. Super high.
At least he followed through, Charlie. Okay, you know the difference when you can throw a ball. And listen, obviously I'm not an expert at throwing a ball, but I consider myself an athlete, or I used to be. But like when you, let me get the camera. When you go like ouchie Fauci did, and you're like,
sure.
Then I'm like, you have no idea what you're doing. But if you follow through and you're like a little bit off, then at least I'll give you a little bit more credit. Does that make sense?
Sure. Okay. Speaking of the Cardinals, are you paying attention? Are you paying as close attention? I've had a couple people asking about this on the chat here. Sharon says, Amzinger is the real simp after he chided the fans for not showing up. Get the F out of here. And somebody else earlier on, let me find that back there so I can give people credit here. Here we go. Juan Garcia, back several minutes ago, says, okay, wait. Juan Garcia, don't trip up while reading the comments out loud, Cam. Mishearing the banter between you all gents. Thank you for that. That was not the one I was trying to hit. This one was Sir Smokes a Lot. Sorry I've talked about. What's your thought on Amzinger and others ripping fans for not physically supporting this shit show? Couple typos in there. I can read them better.
Good.
I did hear that interview. I like Greg Amzinger. Look, here's another thing about this. Let's be real about this. And again, I like the dude. He also works on MLB Network. MLB Network is the MLB. You're not going to have MLB Network hosts come out against ownership. Do you know what happens when that happens? Remember Ken Rosenthal a couple years ago started chirping MLB, and all of a sudden Ken Rosenthal is no longer on MLB Network. I like Amzinger. I think he was wrong on this because the fans are pissed. I understand they're around 500. The fans should be pissed. This is the way the fans can show their displeasure to ownership. I don't think you should boycott the Cardinals because a lot of people are affected when people don't go. All the bars, restaurants. It sucks to see. Yeah, it was pretty hot this past week or so, but we're talking about record historic low crowds. I mean, it's shocking to see how few people are in the stands. I think something has to change. If Mozeliak comes back for one more year, fans are going to be so pissed, man. Like you're starting to really see the blowback. And I get it. Fans don't like the direction of this organization. I don't either. This is how they're voicing it. What do you think?
I hate seeing it. I do. I hate seeing it. Now, I think Amzinger said, he said a Cardinal fan came up to him and said, I'm paying for their contracts. And he's like, that's just the most ridiculous thing in the world. I'm like, well,
a little bit.
You kind of are, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the fans aren't there. They're not drinking the beer. If the fans aren't there and buying tickets, who is paying those contracts? You know what I mean? So I'm like, that kind of does make sense. Listen, it's very simplified, oversimplified, but in a way you sit back like, no, you need them. They're the ones spending the damn money everywhere supporting you. So I didn't understand that a little bit. And I get what you're saying with the, not being able to bash the ownership, but did you see the national anthem the other day? Right, the national anthem.
Yeah.
It looked worse than the White Sox did. I mean, the same. It's unbelievable. You're like, whoa. And I know it was really, really hot. This weekend's going to be a lot better. They might be out of town. I think they're in New York or whatever. So that could have something to do with it. But let's be real. That place has been hot all the damn time.
Forever.
For years in St. Louis. It's miserably hot. And they still went. And now you don't see that. I hate it. There needs to be a big change. I think Randy Carricker and Timothy Michael came on the other day. They were on Channel 5. And Randy's like, they did a poll. And they're like, I'm not going to go to a game until Mozeliak's fired. Like, if I'm the ownership group, I'm like, well, okay. That's like the easiest decision possible. Now, is that...
They'll never fire him. The DeWitts, and here's the real
I know, I get you.
Question, Cam. The DeWitts will never fire him because he's like a son to them. So here's what has to happen. Mozeliak has to basically step down. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's no way Bill DeWitt Jr. fires John Mozeliak. In my opinion, at this point, I think John Mozeliak should do the right thing and basically name his successor. And you can say, hey, we're going to kind of share the duties next year, whatever. But I think that's enough for fans to say, okay, the succession plan has started. There's a lot of things John Mozeliak can still do and help out within the organization. But this organization needs top-down change, drafting, developing. And this is going to be to me, it's not a tough call, but it comes down to Mo, in my opinion, doing the right thing. He is not going to get fired. Now, look, man, these guys have egos. If you're Mo, he probably wants that last year, Cam, to turn it around. The last thing he wants to do is after whatever it is, 14, 15 winning seasons, is go out with his tail between his legs with 2 losing seasons. he probably wants to turn this around. I think they got to make the switch.
I look at it like you treat Mo like he's your son. That's your business partner. The players, you could treat a little bit differently, but those are your business partners. The fans, you should treat them like that's your son and daughter. The fans, in my opinion. I know it sounds goofy, but they're the ones that you have to cater to more than anything. The players are still, hey, listen, they're getting paid a lot of money. They need to perform. That's business. The staff, business. The fans, I would look at and I would cradle them in a different way. Those are your sons and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that you're trying to get. You're trying Mo to attract. You're trying to get the players that you're paying all this money to. You're trying to attract the fans and win. And be like you were years ago, where they're coming in droves, and it's every single home game. It's like a party down there, and I mean, a sea of red everywhere you look. Hell, you better get down there quick, because the parking lot's gonna be packed, and you're gonna have to park way down there, and you're gonna have to spend some money, or this, that, and the other. The fans, I think that they just need to caress a little bit more and treat them like their family more than anything, in my opinion.
It's crazy about next year too. I just wonder, I think it's going to take a couple years. I don't think you do the tear down rebuild. I still on paper like a lot of the Cardinals' young position players. If you go around the diamond, there's a lot to like. Just go around the diamond. Wilson Contreras, we'll see what happens with Nolan Arenado. If I'm him, I want out. And he's wanted out before and forced his way out of Colorado. Now he's older, though, not as productive. Big contract. We'll see there. If I'm him, I start making the rumblings to my agent to maybe go somewhere else. But Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan, I don't know if you bring back Goldie. I wouldn't. But just you start to mention some of the names. Alec Burleson, I still think Jordan Walker can be pretty dang good. Lars Nootbaar, Victor Scott. There's a lot of good position players that you're excited about. The pitching staff, I mean, some of these younger guys, Quinn Matthews, Tink Hence, they're not that close, but they're kind of close. But I don't know how you can be good next year from a pitching standpoint when you're bringing back Miles Michaelis, Steven Matz. Eric Fetty's okay for his price, but your bullpen was good this year. Helsley should be back. Is it smart to move him with a year to go? I don't know. I think we're going to see probably the same type of team next year. I don't think they'll be bad, but I don't think they'll be very good.
Yeah, well, they're not exciting.
For sure.
They don't have that monster. Now, Nolan Arenado right now, I mean, he's coming through in the clutch here and there. But I love Mason Wynn. Love the way he plays. He'll attract people. He'll attract some young kids coming in, watching how he throws the ball, how athletic he is. But what do you think of what they did with Jordan Walker the other day? Bringing him up, sending him. I mean, that messes with you, dude. If I'm Jordan Walker, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be your guy. I started to perform down the minors. I'm here now. Let's go. I know we're in a weird spot. Don't you want to use me and see what I can do? Was that goofy to you?
Yeah, the whole deal with him has stunk. And the funny thing is, so let's just say they don't bring back Goldie. Maybe long term. What if long term, this dude who's 6'6", 6'7", and probably is going to walk around at 275, good weight. He's built basically, he's like an inch shorter than Aaron Judge. I think Aaron Judge is listed at 282. So anyway, Jordan Walker might be a 260, 265 guy. Can he play outfield? Sure. What if it's smarter to move him to first base though? And what if you don't bring back Goldie? And I'm chuckling because you've jerked this guy around so much the last couple of years. You're trying to get him to figure out his swing. And then in an off season, you'd have to potentially teach him a new position, which also and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but could Jordan Walker be a first baseman down the road? If you don't bring back Goldie, could that be part of the plan? I mean, you have Burleson, you have other options there, but man, they said last year, you're hitting the ball on the ground too much. We got to get you to lift and separate and do the launch angle. And then I've talked to people just recently that said he needs to retool his swing again. And here we are in year 2. And by the way, his numbers were not good in Memphis. Until that, he had about a really nice 2.5 week stretch where he started to hit homers and doubles. But for the most part of the season, he was not putting up any type of numbers that you would want to bring a dude up that would warrant coming back up to the big leagues until he got hot. And then he comes up here, doesn't even freaking play every day. At this point in the season, dude, you're not even trying to win. And I know September's coming here, tomorrow, or 2 days. Just let the dude play every day. Let him play every single day. It doesn't matter anymore. You're not going to make the playoffs. Let's see what you got.
It's so funny that when we interviewed Doug, and this kind of coexists in a while, he's kind of said something similar. Like, last year he's playing all these young kids. He's like, nope, he's in the lineup no matter what. We know where we're at. Play him, play him. We need to see where we're at with some of these guys. But he also said, and I forgot how Jordan Walker was he in the minors at the when he was a rookie, and he get called up like weeks later, and then played the rest of the season, and then the next year he was up and then got sent back down. Is that how the timeline went with him?
So if you remember, go back a couple years. He set the world on fire in Double-A. So this would be 2022. Never played in Triple-A. And then last year in spring training, if you remember, just set the world on fire, was hitting unbelievable. Like, he was leading the Grapefruit League in all kinds of offensive categories. But then remember, he slid into second, messed his shoulder up. After that, he wasn't quite as productive, but then he's on the opening day roster and he's okay. If you remember, and I'll go back and look, but his numbers offensively were not bad. They were right around league average OPS plus, which people like to make fun of me for. Now, obviously in right field, it was rough, but when they sent him down last year, right? I'm trying to think exactly his numbers. I'll look it up, but then he comes back up. He had a pretty good season, is what I'm saying. Like, I think he had 18 homers and something like that. He had above 100 OPS plus. Let me find that for you exactly, because you know how I am. I get confused with all these things.
Well, what my point is too is, like, Army said, when you have these young kids, it's better to send, even if they had a hell of a training camp or a preseason, whatever. You send them down, they get their work in, then you call them up. But if they make the team and they're okay, and then they struggle, then you send them down. Their mindset is so off kiltered. Now to try to regroup from that is so much more difficult. And you've seen that hand in hand, not just with hockey, but with baseball and other sports as well.
Okay, so Walker in 2023, his rookie season, played 117 games, so about 3/4 of the season. 16 homers, 19 doubles, 51 RBI, 276 batting average, pretty dang good. On base 342, slug 445, an OPS of 787 for an OPS plus of 113. So when you're 13% above league average offensively in your absolute rookie season, where before the year started you hadn't played in AAA, that's pretty dang good. Now this year in the big leagues, he was absolutely terrible. But man, I mean, he has talent. He's a physical specimen. I'm trying to see exactly how long he was down in the minors last year. Let me just find that real quick. So, okay. So last year, Cam, 2023, he plays opening day, which is March 30th. So basically, he plays until April 23rd. So he had a little less than a month in the big leagues. And again, he wasn't bad offensively. He was okay, but he was hitting the ball on the ground too much, goes back down to the minors and comes up about 5 weeks later. He came back up June 2nd. So he was down in the minors last year from about April 23rd to June 2nd. So essentially the whole month of May or so. But he figured it out and was pretty dang good. And then this year he's just fallen off the map.
And then Ollie came out. So Ollie came out and talked about Jordan Walker and when he got sent down. And he said one thing. And then some Mo came on a different channel and said like something completely different. And if you're a fan, like, you don't even have to know baseball. Like, you look at that and you're like, dude, this ain't good. They are not on the same page whatsoever. And it's so obvious. And people are they're like, I'm done with it. And it's tough, man. Because again, listen, the players are going to be okay, but the people that like again, like people working at different businesses and stuff. Like, listen, sorry to go back to St. Louis, but St. Louis needs the Cardinals to be relevant. They need the Blues to be relevant. We said this a million times. That's why people go downtown. It's because of the Cardinals and the Blues and City, Battlehawks maybe here and there. But if they're not, if it's a ghost town in the middle of summer at Busch Stadium, they're in a day game against the Brewers. They got problems, man.
For sure.
And it goes down the line, too. affects everybody.
Okay, I put over there, right over there, the Triad Bank logo. I forgot for about the first 30 minutes, but this live stream brought to you by Triad Bank, St. Louis Lawn Care, St. Louis Equipment, Corner Butcher in Fenton, and Chop House, which is now in the same building. They moved Corner Butcher over there to the Chop House, so they're together. Brendan Schaefer is in the chat. I just put
What's
his
up,
comment
baby?
up. Brendan says, he says, is that Cam Janssen who used to be on the Blues team? Yes, it is. And Brendan, who of course has a channel here on YouTube with the Cardinals, but also he is a true son of Missouri. So, Cam, my question to you, did you watch that really competitive game last night, Mizzou versus Murray State? So I was doing stuff. My daughter had soccer practice. I get back. I know it's a 7 o'clock start. By the time I get ready to sit down, and I don't even know what time it was, but it was already 28 zip in the first quarter. So I'm like, okay, which you knew that was going to happen anyway. But then I was watching here and there, and then end of the second quarter, so end of the first half, I watched that whole drive where Brady Cook got into the end zone with the rushing scorer. They win 51 zip. It's what you expect. It's fun. It's fun to see Mizzou. Hey, I think somebody tell me here the last time they shut an opponent out. I saw that graphic. It was
That's a good
a
question.
good long time. But look, you're supposed to do that to Murray State, and Mizzou is going to be a top 10 team. I'm excited for Mizzou this year. What about you?
I am too. But I did look at Murray State, like their offensive line, and I think Brendan Schaefer probably is bigger than half of those guys. So I mean, if you're Murray State, like my gosh, the size difference. And look, Brady Cook missed a couple long balls. He's got to tighten that up a little bit. I mean, it is what it is. Like if you really want me to critique, Murray State didn't get past the 50-yard line. What, once maybe? Like it was Missouri's defense was fantastic. You got to give them some kind of credit, I guess, for really shutting them down. Drinky poo annoys me still. No,
Still,
he does. No,
how come?
he
How
just
come
does
now?
because it just you're playing. No offense to Murray State, but you're playing the little sister of the poor,
Yeah, they suck.
and he's every drive he's pumping the guy. I'm like, just maybe that's a maybe because if you're playing a team that's maybe younger than you or this that you don't get too excited about every single play. I know some of those guys, man, it's probably their first time. A lot of them were veterans that were on the field, but just the way he reacts to every play against Murray State when they're up by 29, it just annoyed me a little bit. Now I'm nitpicking. You know how I am with him. I like the direction where they're going, but just if you want me to critique something, it's not the players in that game because they did everything they're supposed to do against an opponent like that, but just the way Drinky is on the sideline. He's like doing all this stuff. It's 35-0. It's like, calm down. Talk to him afterwards. You got a young kid that made pretty damn good plays. You know what you do? Don't go crazy on the sideline against that team. It makes you look dumb. Bring him in afterwards or the next day and bring him in the office with all the coaching staff and show the highlight that he did and pump him up in front of all the players on the team. Calm your ass down on the sideline against Murray State when you're up by 40, drinky poo. That's it.
All
No
right.
big deal. All good,
But
baby.
he's trying to be in it like, hey, if this was us versus Bama in a close game, you got to have the same type of situations. I get it. I think Eli Drinkwitz is good for business, and I'm rooting for Mizzou. I want to see Mizzou Ohio State in the playoff playing
Yeah.
each other, folks. Okay, Captain 25 1978 says Mizzou, whatever. Hey, we're going to talk about Mizzou, and it's by the way, anybody chirping Mizzou? Who else is good right now for our sports? Now, I know
I
SLU
know.
basketball, they got a new coach. Hopefully they're good. Cardinals, not very good. You said earlier, Cam, you think the Blues are going to be good and make the playoffs, but they have to prove that right now, folks.
Absolutely.
Whatever's going on with City, I'll check. I'm not too sure.
They weren't good.
Battlehawks, hey, rooting for them. But right now in the St. Louis area, Mizzou football is the best thing that we got going. Okay, watch what I do here. And I forgot to put this up earlier, but I'm going to take this down for 1 second because I told Triad Bank, I said, we only do sports talk. So when we get political, Cam, I don't want the sponsors to be responsible. So I got to ask you, did you watch the interview last night with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? And if not, it's fine. It was their first interview. What are you thinking of the race? Because I think our last show of Hot Take Central was the day after the terrible debate where Joe Biden basically sat there and didn't know where he was. And then several weeks later, he's out. So I don't think we've talked since the switcheroo with Kamala. So what do you think? What are you thinking right now? Are you going to vote for Kamala?
Of course I am. And Tampon Tim, I'm sorry. You knew that was coming. I'm sorry.
Sure.
But no, we haven't talked, dude, with the assassination attempt. We were off the radio. Dude, we missed a lot of stuff, man.
Okay,
There's
hold
a
on.
lot of.
On that note, I'm going to go back. I'm going to ask you two questions at once because Drew at 10:16, which was almost 45 minutes ago, I didn't want to start with this, but he also says, Drew, break down the Trump assassination attempt. So we have a lot to talk about, Cam.
That was weird. That was weird. And it gets more bizarre and more bizarre and more bizarre. And not to mention, I chirped the CIA, the Trump's
Secret Service,
his security, and then and some of the, I know the women, which is fine, but the way they let him stand back up and go, to fight. That was great, cool, great photo. Get his ass down. Get him down. You're going to take his big head and prop it back up again in case there's another weirdo shooter over there that they just let scroll in and hang out on the top of a roof of the FBI agents that are sitting in the roof. Like, it was the weirdest damn thing in the world. The way they escorted him off, some of them didn't even know how to, they're like fumbling around. It looked like a comedy, but it wasn't. It was, it was the most bizarre thing in the world. Then all these other, like the police, now you see some of the footage of the local police. They're like, what is going on over there? What? Hey, there he is. Like, what is that? Who let him on? There's the guy just walked back on. He's on top of her. I mean, there's so many bizarre things that go on. If Trump just would have looked back over just a little bit, they would have caved his head in. And I know people hate him, and I get why you do. He's crazy. Like, anyways, I get why you like him, and I get why you hate him. It is what it is. But if that dude would have got his head caved in front of everybody, this country would have been really, really, really bad. If Joe Biden, if Kamala Harris gets, this country will go to shit, and it will be a fucking civil war. And there's crazy things going on. I truly believe psycho shit would happen if that would have went down as planned with that weirdo kid. Do we know any more about him? Like, do we know anything about him?
You know
it's
what?
Just damn, Charlie.
You know what I think about is in the social media age, the fact that we don't know much at all about this kid. And then I think back, and for anybody to think, okay, this kid acted alone, which maybe he did. I don't know. But maybe also he was kind of allowed to go places, and maybe some people just dropped the ball. I really don't know. But just thinking about it, like when you hear the name Lee Harvey Oswald, like they're kind of the same person. Do you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, you didn't have Instagram and social media, and you didn't have cell phone video. Just imagine the JFK assassination. And I've been there. I remember going to a Blues Stars game. I walked down a mile to Dealey Plaza, and it was amazing. It looked exactly like you thought from pictures and Zapruder film and all that. And you just think about it. Just take yourself back 60 years ago. If you had cell phones, like people would have actually seen people in the grassy knoll, right? Like they'd have been videoing it. There'd have been, everybody would have had a cell phone. You'd have had, instead of just Abraham Zapruder's old film, you'd have had literally 1,000 angles of cell phones of what happened to know exactly. You would have seen. So again, you wouldn't have been able to pull it off if it was a conspiracy, if it was multiple people, which I think it was for JFK. Yeah. You wouldn't have been able to do that now with cell phones. So I don't know. Like, I really don't know about that one, man. I'll tell you what. I was in Toledo, Ohio. I was at my parents' house. We had like a party. And this was one of those parties where, dude, we're in the pool all day, Saturday, Sunday. I was drinking in the pool with my brothers and sisters and everybody, kids, for like 8 hours, Cam. I'm telling you, just drinking nonstop. I walk in, my wife's like, Trump got shot at. And I was like, shut up. Like, come on now. She's like, no. And it's like, and I was a little inebriated, but I was like, what? Like, it's just, it's something you don't even think about ever being able to happen in 2024. You think about it like Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, right? But that's
Yeah,
like so long ago. The fact that it happened now is insane.
it is insane. And it shouldn't happen, especially like there's so many red flags that were going down. They could have just been like, wait, what are we doing? Excuse me, sir. Here, let me take you over here. I mean, they could have kiboshed that whole scenario in 2 seconds. It's odd. The whole what's going on with Kamala. She needs to talk more. I know she did her interview last night. Kate and I were kind of gonzo last night, so I'm gonna have to kind of go back and see what she had to say. But I'm glad she's talking. I am. It's weird how she was never talked about, and all of a sudden now she's on the ticket and everybody's for her. But will things change that much? I know she's switching her policies around a little bit, saying that now she wants to shut the borders down and stuff like that. So I don't know, but she does have a big movement going on, Charlie. I listened to you and Eric talk about it too on everybody settle down, and I agree
Thanks.
with a lot of things you guys say, to be honest. So we'll see what happens in the next couple months here. It's going to be a lot of content for us for sure. I know there's so many other things I'm trying to think of that went down the past 2 months that we haven't talked about. We would have been all over this, dude. This
For
would have been a
sure.
3 hour show talking about all kinds of different stuff. People would have called in. We would have read all the text messages, that kind of stuff I miss, man. A lot going on, including like, did you see that weird plane crash in Brazil with all those scientists on it? How it just kind of fluttered down?
Oh, yeah.
Like they were landing in Sao Paulo. And usually when you stall out, you're on takeoff because you don't have enough power. But they were landing and they stalled out. And I've never seen a plane fall like that in the sky. You see helicopters when their wings are all messed up, or you know what I mean? But with the plane, it was so odd. That was a weird one. And of course, the billionaires in the yacht with the water spout, that was odd too. They just got out of that court case. The other guy that got out of the court case died the day before in England,
Yes.
got ran over. All the men died, and the women got out with a 1-year-old baby. So bizarre. Now, can you control the weather? No, that was a water spout. It'll tear up a sailboat. Sailboats are very resilient in the water, more than anything else. The way they could take waves and spin and do this, they could handle all kinds of stuff. But that just a lot of weird stuff going on, man. We might have to do this more often, Charlie.
Oh, we should. I think people love it. We got 61 people watching now, and then we'll replay it. Plus, I'll clip it up. We got a lot of good stories and little chunks here. Captain comes back on and says, Trump will still win. Inflation has always been political poison for the incumbent, which I 100% agree with in terms of inflation being political poison for the incumbent. I don't know how you can predict this right now. I have no
Yeah,
idea who's going to win.
I
So
agree with you, Charlie.
here's betting odds. This is up to the minute. That says, if you can't read it, it says Kamala
49. Yep.
49.4, Trump 48.8. It's essentially an absolute coin flip. But here's the other part that's good for Trump. Right now, Pennsylvania goes to Trump, but it's
Yeah.
it's 50.5% to
Dude.
49.5%. But right now it goes to Trump. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, he probably wins. But I don't know if you saw the Fox News polling this week. It actually showed Kamala doing way better in the Sun Belt. So we're talking like Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. She was down in North Carolina, I believe, but it was close. It also goes to show you, I know you mentioned how everybody's behind Kamala right now. I don't think it's as much as people are behind Kamala, is that so many people didn't want Biden and Trump. But of course, on the Democrat side, they just wanted anybody that wasn't Joe Biden who is at least quasi normal and of the appropriate age. So I don't think Kamala Harris is this generational talent. I don't think she's terrible. She's kind of a status quo candidate, but that's way better than Biden, you
Yeah,
know?
I know. Biden was, I mean, it was about, I was wondering, we've been talking about that for months, and you and Jimmy were like, okay, we're watching him. We're watching him try to navigate off stage. Like, have you seen, by the way, have you seen Shane Gillis and Adam Ray on Kill Tony
Oh,
with
yeah.
Trump and Biden? It's
Yeah.
the funniest damn thing in the world. If you guys like that kind of stuff. These guys are the funniest people on the planet right now, and they chirp the hell out of both of them. Shane Gillis does Donald Trump better than anybody I've ever seen. He was in mode for hours trying to not laugh it was brilliant. You got to check that out, man. It's so damn funny. To make one of those two, it's so much content. It's crazy, man. So check that out. It's pretty cool.
Joe H, video is great. We even get to see Cam's spit bottle. How about
Hey,
that?
come here, boo
How
boo.
about that? And Boo Boo, come on over as well.
Yeah,
Hey,
she's
by the
getting
way,
old.
people always let us know that you can hear us well. And also let me know about the ads. Are there too many ads? Should we not do ads on a live stream? Because I don't actually even know how it works. I put a conservative amount of ads, a balanced amount. Nobody's complained. So hopefully that's good. We don't want to overwhelm people with ads, but we want to make a
Just
couple
like
bucks.
a little sticker right there, Charlie. Are you
Well,
saying like
no, I don't think you and I see him because we're doing it live. But I think the viewers see the ads. So let us know, folks, if there are too many. And look at this, Jeff
yeah,
Taylor.
but who cares?
He
As
gave
long
us
as it
another $2.
oh
Can we get a I played high school basketball. There we
it's
go.
just the best of the best.
There was
I
another
miss
one
that so much.
from you. Oh, they want to hear you say toe dragging them cougars,
Dog
Jonathan
dragging
Miser.
them cougars.
Okay, so you know what? This is fun. We're over an hour. We don't have to go. Okay, here we go.
Shot, baby.
Donnie Boy, the Iowan says video ads are showing up every 6 to 8 minutes. I did put that in there. So is that bad, folks? Because I will change that. Does that mess up the flow of the live stream? Let me know.
What does it
Somebody
do
else
though?
says,
Charlie, what's it do? Hold on. When you put an ad in like that, does it stop us from talking and then the ad goes?
that's what I'm wondering. So, folks, if Cam's talking and then the ad comes, do you go back to where he was or do you actually miss him talking? That's what I want to know about. So let us know. Okay. Jeff Taylor says we can skip the ads quickly. If people are complaining, we'll stop doing the ads. It's all good because I'm gonna cut this up to a bunch of stories in the next several days. Okay, dude. Anything else? I don't want to take too much of your time. What else is on your mind? What did I miss?
Well, what's on my
Cam.
mind right now is I'm sick of this hot weather. I'm sick of this 100-degree nasty humidity. I'm sick of it. I'm ready for fall season. We're watching football last night. I'm waiting. These trees out yonder are starting to change a little bit. It's putting me in a good mood. I'm gonna go to Corner Butcher, by the way, and I'm gonna grill up some good food this weekend, man, and chill out all weekend. I'm pretty excited about that. I can't barbecue when it's that hot out, dude. It's nasty. But once it gets a little bit cooler, that's my jam. I could do a bunch of different things this weekend, so I'm pretty excited about that. And there's going to be a lot to come, man. A lot going on coming up with the hockey season and stuff like that. Charlie and I will probably be doing some stuff together. I mean, there's a lot going on. The thing is now is like we can create our own thing. Like if we want to jump on like this, all you gotta do is tell me. We could
Mm-hmm.
jump on, talk about whatever. So, well, I know it's been a couple months since the show ended. Trying to put that show back together, it's just a tough thing. It truly is in any kind of situation. So we got plenty of content coming out for you, and I'm glad I'm back talking to you, man. Seriously, and we need
I
to get
love it.
together and watch some Mizzou. We need to do. We could always do like another watch party where we all go somewhere, get a bus, whatever, tell people where we're going, watch a Mizzou game, shoot the shit with everybody. You know, I'll be doing that anyway on Thursdays, man. So I know Mizzou plays on a Saturday, but I like to go on a Saturday too.
Yeah, we should get the listeners. We'll put it out there on Twitter and just we'll pick a day, pick a bar, and just be like, meet us there and try to get people to hang out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What else is going on with you?
Man, what is going on with me? The Kenny Wallace stuff is going really well. So that's just like nonstop in a good way. I mean, we just got so much content. The NASCAR playoffs start after this week. So basically, after this week, you have the 10 race playoffs, which will be crazy. So that's like a good 2.5 months of just hardcore work. What I do like about the NASCAR and the baseball season, they really overlap. So you're super busy, but then they kind of end at the same time. Unfortunately for the Cardinals are going to end earlier because they won't be playing in October. But then like my whole life really settles down November, December, January, February. So that's why we got to do more of this. I would like to do more football talk, but also like I can't watch all the games, man. Like baseball is a lot. Baseball is a lot. You have to watch like 20 hours a week to know what's going on. That's why I love football. And I'm telling you, man, that's why I love NASCAR. NASCAR, you can just watch on Sundays for 3-4 hours. And if you miss
Dude.
something, you can rewind, you can see the wreck. Like, it's an easy watch if you're busy.
Hey, real quick, and I know your girl loves RFK. What do you think of the endorsement? Were you
Let me
surprised
tell
by
you,
that?
well, not surprised when it was actually announced because I feel like you heard the reports for the last week or so. See, look, I'm going to take Triad Bank off again. When we get back to politics, I take the ad
Yeah, yeah.
off.
I
No,
didn't mean to do
she's
that. I was just curious
no,
because
no,
I
no,
really,
no, I know. No, she's a big RFK Jr. fan. I like him as well. I was trending towards voting for him, to be honest with you, and I still might because he will be on the ballots of the non-swing states. You're even seeing that apparently he might still be on some of the swing state ballots. They're trying to kind of screw him over there. I loved his speech, by the way. I love almost everything he says about obesity, chronic disease, big ag, our food supply, big
yeah.
pharma. I'm with him on almost all of that. I don't agree with everything he says about the COVID vaccine. I agree big picture just on wondering about the vaccine schedule. Is it too aggressive for kids too early? I also have a kid that has
You
a
hear about the
million.
autism, like with the numbers with the autism, like when he talks
Right.
about that, it's a wake up call, and the way he explained it too is like, autism is so many different levels of autism, but a lot of it, man, some of these, and I've seen it, and we all know people where they have a kid, a child that will never love anybody, will never be loved, will never have a legit conversation, will never know this, will never have this. And it's just there's more and more and more. And the way he described it and throughout the stats, it's pretty concerning. It kind of made me tear up a little bit the way he explained it. I'm like, geez, Louise, that was a little bit of a wake up call. I know he gets a little bit outlandish with a couple things, and you're like, oh, okay. But I do like him and I respect him. And the way he speaks when it comes to that kind of stuff, man, you're just like, damn, I didn't know that. And you kind of look at the numbers, you're like, wow, like what is that? Like why is that happening?
Sure. And I'll just
Interesting.
tell people real quick personally. So, my son has a million allergies. He's allergic to like 20 things to the point that we're now going out to this Food Allergy Institute in Long Beach, California, about every 10, 12 weeks. We've been out there twice. We're going back in November. We're doing this deal where every day we give him a maintenance program in the morning. It's a lot of work. And then a treatment program at night where we have to give him all these foods and keep building up his tolerance and all that. So, when you see that, and RFK Jr. talks a lot about food allergies and eczema, as well as the whole idea of autism and all that, which I don't know, by the way. I'll be the first one to say I don't know. But what I do know is that it didn't used to be like this. So what you do then, if you don't want your kids to have higher rates of autism and food allergies, eczema, which of course we all want those things to go away, you need to investigate why it's happening. I don't know why. Could it be the vaccine schedule is too aggressive? I think that's fair to talk about. Could it be our food supply, pesticides, whatever it is, processed food? I think all those things are on the table. So, big picture, I always say I don't agree with everything the man has said for the last 40 years. By the way, it's hilarious though that like every week there's a story about him like cutting off a whale's head. My wife and I were laughing about this yesterday. Like, he's just funny. Like the thing where he picked up the bear on the road and he put it in Central Park. Like, they're hilarious stories,
Yeah.
right?
It's odd. Hey, you know what I did the other day? I went on this little. I looked up John F. Kennedy Jr. and his life and his
Mm-hmm.
tragic ending, the plane crash. Just watched like this. I just went down this rabbit hole about him and how like perfect he was, and everybody loved him, and what he's seen, and he tried to live up to his father's legacy, and how the hell do you do that? And then all of a sudden he gets on this freaking plane, and they're going to a wedding, and he was late and he's flying at night when he didn't have that many hours under his belt. And it's like, oh my God, the way they crash, it just was pretty crazy, man. I don't know why I like to look up morbid stuff sometimes, but I'm just curious on how things happen. And so I think I torture myself at times, man, just looking up stuff. And I just went on a weird rabbit hole of JFK Jr. So check him out. Handsome son. He had it, man. Sexiest man alive, doing all he had that George magazine where it's like a political magazine
Mm-hmm.
blowing up pretty good. But it was interesting, man. He's an interesting guy that had a unique, weird life, and he was part of that family, like the American Dream family, right? Like they were, They were the kings of the U.S., if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I think finishing with RFK, I do kind of not like him endorsing Trump, but I wouldn't have liked him endorsing Kamala either, to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
like the third party aspect, but the fact that he can stay on the ballot, I do think whether you're Democrat or Republican, I think the two party system is killing this country. So I want third party candidates to have more of a shot. So I don't know, like our channel with Eric randomly got all these RFK
yeah,
Jr. fans, and
yeah,
honestly, they're kind of torn. About 50% or so from the comments I read are happy with him aligning with Trump, and the other 50%, maybe it's 40%, whatever it is, kind of think he sold out. They wanted him to go all the way till the end. I I I don't know though, man. Like when I listen to him, I think he's 100% genuine in wanting to help kids. And I think he probably says both sides kind of suck in their own ways. Plus, the Democrats froze him out. So he's pissed about that, which I totally get. But I actually think he's like, you know what? If I can't be president, I can make a difference this way, whether it was in Kamala's cabinet or Trump's cabinet. I want to fix the chronic disease. I want to fix our food. I think he's genuine about that. So at the end of the day, if he is, which I think he is, if he can make a huge difference doing that, I think we all benefit.
I agree with you, man. I do. I agree with that. I think he's sincere, and I do think he's genuine, and he's a very, very smart guy that's seen a lot, that's been through a lot. He knows the game. So I was just curious, man. I'd like to catch up with you. We got to do this again, dude. We got a lot to talk about, man.
For sure.
You might have to do a
I
3
think
hour show again, Charlie.
I'll tell you what. Well, what I like, I have like we're not going to go 3 hours today. I have no problem honestly. If we can make it make sense for everybody. I have no problem jumping on for 2 or 3 hours randomly. I just like to do it. I don't want to have to do it every day. But if you and I
Yeah,
are like, hey, dude, Thursday looks good. Let's do 60 minutes. Let's do 90 minutes. We get some
whatever.
sponsors back on. I'll put Triad Bank back up here. But we'll make that happen. I think that people will like it. And again, like we got 50, 60 people watching at all times right now. I'll tell you what, I can actually tell you exactly. Let me just go find it. But once we clip these up to all the little deals about the Blues and the Cardinals and Mizzou, we're gonna have a bunch more people that are consuming the content. I'm gonna try to see how many people right now. Hold on, I can tell you right now. So basically, we had last hour 361 people watching in the hour. That's pretty good.
That's cool. And it's a
That's
Friday. You
yeah.
know, people are probably they're probably going, and this is their last hurrah, going down the Lake of the Ozarks, going here, going there. Be careful going down the lake. I keep, boat crashes. Don't be stupid. You know what I mean? They had this shootout at the lake last weekend, right? Which is unbelievable. They had a boat that went like 230 miles an hour, and they're having all these boats, and everybody piles up on this huge stretch of the lake. And so once the shootout's over, I heard all my buddies had horror stories, and a lot of them had big boats. They're all sitting there like, then everybody's like, whoa, it's starting to rain. So the shootout, you got a bunch of people with huge boats in a somewhat not huge area. It's not the Lake Michigan, dude. So once the shootout's over, they see rain coming. Everybody panics. There's supposed to be like no idle or idle. You better idle your boat. Get the hell out of there. There's only so many water Charlies out there. Everybody gets up and flies out of there. And people are getting swamped. Like, bam, boats are turning over, all this stuff. It's crazy, man. So my point is just be careful. All good. Be careful. It's going to be a crazy weekend this weekend. It's going to be beautiful. I hope everybody enjoys it, man. I miss you, Charlie. I miss everybody. And we got a lot of things coming up here. So you're going to be seeing a lot of us. Hell, you might get sick of our cute faces here soon because we'll probably be on. Now we're on video all the damn time. I used to like hiding, man. But now it's like, got to brush your teeth. Oh, God. I did shave my head. Look at that.
Oh, I like
Look
it.
like look like a crazy person. Gotta do what you gotta do, man. I did the Hockey Hall of Fame the other day, Amateur Hockey Hall of Fame. Andy Strickland was the MC, and we had a good time. Rick Zombo had some things to say. It's interesting. Now it's all on YouTube, and we actually clipped some of it off on our podcast at the beginning before Matthew Kachuk. Do you want to take a listen and hear what he had to say? He was he wanted to make a point, and it was pretty interesting. We all love Zombo, and he got a standing ovation. We're all looking at each other like, "Oh God, oh God damn, oh God dang, who's he talking about?" So it's pretty interesting. But we had a good time, and Scott Rupp does a great job with the amateur hockey Hall of Fame. And they had all of us, like all of our jerseys from me all the way to the last kid that just made the Toronto. I think it was Joseph Wool, who's playing for Toronto right now. So it was really really cool. But you got to check out Zombo's speech, man. He had a bone to pick with a couple people.
I love it. No, you sent me a clip. That was awesome. All right, let's end on that. Right there, we're at 75 minutes. That's perfect. Cam, love you, brother. That was awesome. Thanks everybody for watching, for commenting. Support the sponsors, Triad Bank, triadbanking.com, St. Louis Lawn Care for all your lawn care needs, for your mulch, for your mosquito and bug control, for your treatment. You got St. Louis Equipment, stlmowerrepair.com. You can buy a mower. You can get your mower fixed. They got small engine products. I got a Crest battery operated trimmer. I have a Husqvarna blower. You got Corner Butcher and Fenton and Chop House. Cam said he's going out there to load up for the grilling weekend. Oh, and we'll end on this. Couple more here. Anju Pays says, have a great Labor Day weekend, everyone. And how about D-Bear? Derek Dockett says, miss you guys. D-Bear, miss you too. Miss you, Cam. We'll see you later, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Love you too. All right. End stream. Boom. End stream. Boom.